Hello, everybody. What a great pleasure it is to be with you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that. Wow. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever it is you celebrate this year, happy. Nice to be with you. See my tree in the background? And I'm wearing green. Hold on. I have a little microphone, which is the weirdest place for a microphone. It's hold on. Okay, there. Let's try that. Okay, you don't have to look at it. I'll handle that for us. Okay, good. So for today, I wanted to get together with you and gift you this. This is a great time to do it. We have, let's see, we've had COVID this year. How fun. We have holidays coming up. How fun. And we have a lot of stuff. And I called this Dreaming Big, Creating Bigger because I realize that so many of us with situations in the world, but also situations in our lives as we've been growing up, it's like we've kind of lost the ability to dream or even the willingness to. And if you've ever seen the movie Tomorrowland, if you haven't, I highly suggest that you watch it because Earth has a few days left because of all the points of view of all the people on Earth that have decided Earth only has a little while left, which is creating that reality. And that's exactly how this works. One of the things I've said for a long time is your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. And I'm going to be looking at some of the chat stuff here at different times. So, just so you know, that's why I'm looking down. But having that awareness, do you realize then, I guess, you know, in most of these things, it's like I'm supposed to introduce myself and tell you who I am and all that sort of stuff. I'm more interested in you than me, okay? I'm more interested in what you can get out of being here today. And this is one of those things. I know so many people who do free things, quote unquote, and it's always like, I'm doing this for free for you, so you'll do my next thing, but I'm not gonna really give you anything of value. But once you start paying me money, I'll start giving you drips of value. That's not how I operate. I'm hoping that you will allow us together to change something in this time that we have together so that you go throughout your world different, with more of a sense of wonder, more of a sense of joy, more of a sense of space, more of a sense of gratitude, more of a sense of peace, and more of a sense of what it truly is to be you. How do you know when you're being you? Well, you have no feelings. I know that sounds weird. You're like, wait, I thought I had to feel when I'm me. Actually, when you're truly being you, you can't feel it. You just be it. It's like if you look outside your window, like outside my window, I've got a bunch of trees and plants and a bunch of trees and plants inside. Think of any plant or tree you've ever seen. Do they ever feel? No, but they be, and they're being all the time. You know, the plant never wakes up and goes, oh, I feel so messed up today. I don't think I can fruit today. And in fact, I'm pulling in all the fruit. You can't have any of my fruit because I'm feeling so terrible today. They don't do that. The birds don't wake up and go, I'm having a bad feather day. I'm just not going to sing today. I just can't be bothered to use this beautiful chirp of mine today. It's just not today. Let me hit the snooze alarm again. You know what I mean? And so there are these elements in the world around us that show us what it's really like to be, which is one of the reasons we like being around them. Like, for example, out in nature. And what happens when you go out in nature? After you finally decompress a little bit, and you have a sense of being able to sort of let the world off of your shoulders, let the weight of the world off of your shoulders, what happens? You start to have a sense of space where it's like, ah, and if you stay out there long enough, it just starts to pervade your world. Why is that? Because that's actually you being you. Now, if you contrast that to waking up in the middle of a city and the compression that's there a lot of times, you realize that they're two different spaces, but which one feels more like you? Most people would say out in nature, right? Well, what I've found is you can actually be you no matter how many other people are around with some simple tools. We'll be talking, I guess there's a royal we, or maybe I have a mouse in my pocket. I will be talking to you about that. And the reason I say we, if you've ever heard me talk, I say we a lot, and people are like, who else are you talking about? I'm like, we, this is us. This beautiful planet that we live on, this is our planet too. This planet includes all of us with no judgment. And no matter what we do, whether we receive it or not, the planet is still there gifting continuously. What if that's more the way we are? And I wonder if what if that's more the way you'd really like to be, but given the life that you've lived and the situations that have occurred, it feels like that may be really far away. So I'd like to just put that little bee in your bonnet, a little thing in your awareness that what if that's actually possible? What if it's actually possible to have that sense of kindness that the earth is and that nature is, the sense of gifting that the earth is and that all of nature is, and the sense of being able to be a space of something different that allows us together, if enough of us choose it, to actually create that space as our world. And so also for me, when I brought up the we thing, for me, it's like, I talk interchangeably about your life and the world, and your life and your future and the world's future, because actually they're interlinked. Have you ever acknowledged that? Because most of us were like, wait a minute, I'm one of 8 billion people on the planet. What could I possibly do to affect the future? Be you, be that lightness, be like the plants, the animals, and the trees. And if you be like the plants and the animals and the trees, who knows, maybe they could get even more magical than they are right now. And so there's this sort of dichotomy that occurs though between, well, I've got to go to work and I got to pay bills and I have a family and I have kids and I have all this stuff and I have all these stresses, and yet I would like something different, but that's not practical. Well, what if this is the beginning of something different? What if this is the beginning of actually embracing practical magic, practical miraculousness? Let's call it that. What if the gift that you are, what if you, when you're truly being you, actually function more miraculously than you've ever imagined? Now, that's sort of a big statement. And at the same time, how many of you get lighter when I say it? And so I'm going to give you a lot of tools. And as many as I can in the time together. Like I said, I want to do what I can to contribute to you getting to be that person you know you are. Why would I want to do that? Because I live on this planet also. When your world gets better, so does mine. And the space on the planet gets lighter and it gets happier. And with enough of us together choosing this, we create movements of possibility, not movements of insanity like we've seen go throughout the world in the last several years, especially the last few years. So what if you could be part of a movement of possibilities? One of the other tools I'm going to use is something called the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. Now, a lot of you have done Access, and which means you've been exposed to this clearing statement, and a lot of you haven't, and that's okay too. One of the things that we wanted to get in everybody's hands before this particular mini class that we're doing was the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. So you can go to theclearingstatement.com. You can also find it on my website, the Access Consciousness website. But what it is the way I see it is it's one of the biggest upgrades in personal development since there's been personal development, okay? Because think about this for a moment. How many of you have, if you're a seeker like I am, what is a seeker? A seeker is somebody who is looking for other possibilities, who looks out at the world and goes, if that's all there is, why am I here? And there's actually a lot of us around the world, okay? So please know, first, also, second, third, whatever number this is, you're not alone, okay? You're not alone. And when you're truly being you, you have a lightness like that when you go out in nature. And so if you're a seeker and somebody who's been looking to change things, you may have done all kinds of things. Maybe you haven't done very many things, but you know there's something else possible. And so one of the greatest ways of changing things is this thing called the clearing statement. But the first few times you hear it, it sounds like gobbledygook. Doesn't matter, it still works, okay? And the clearing statement is based on the idea, like if you look at the room you're in right now, if you look at the wall, any wall will do, it looks solid, right? But science tells us it's 99.9999999% space, but it looks solid. Well, if you could arrange things in just such a way and actually acknowledge the space, maybe you could walk through the wall, who knows? But what if it's the same thing with the limitations in your life that look like walls that you think you can't get over, can't get through, can't get around, can't get under? What if there's actually a space in there that if you could access it, would allow you to walk through the limitation with ease. So we have this clearing statement, which I'm going to start using right after this mini explanation of it. And the clearing statement is this: right and wrong, good and bad. What is that? Well, that's the judgments you have of anything. And here's the weird part, okay? We all know what happens when you have something is wrong and bad, or when you feel wrong. That thing, it eats at you, but that's less limiting than the things we decide we have right, because the things that you decide you have wrong, at least you're willing to change those. One of the biggest limitations we have is the things we decide that are right that are a limitation. Like, for example, I'm a giving person, which means you've so made that right that you give everything and have nothing for yourself. Well, that's not really sustainable, because you get drained. Your batteries start running low, and then you also feel, and when you have that, and when you have to give in order to prove that you're a giving person, what happens? Well, now you have all kinds of people who want to take from you, but you're like, I must give to them to prove I'm a giving person. Oh my goodness, that's a recipe for failure. So what we're doing with the first part of the clearing statement, right? And actually, let me give you the whole clearing statement. And apparently I'm explaining the clearing statement a bit, because apparently that's what's required right now, okay? I just jump into my seat and start talking to see what I can contribute to you, and it's what's in your head that tells me what to say. So thank you for having a head that tells me what to say. That was a weird statement. Okay, puck and pod, all that. Okay, so here's the clearing statement. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Whoo! Okay, so the right and wrong stands for what's right, good, perfect, and correct about this point of view. The right and wrong, good and bad is what's wrong, bad, terrible, vicious, mean, and awful about this point of view, or about this thing that you're looking to change. So it takes the judgments on the good side and the bad side and asks them to go away by using this thing in the middle called POC and POD. POC stands for going back to the point of creation of wherever you created this limitation, whether it was yesterday, last week, when you were a little kid, or 100 billion years ago on some other planet or something. I don't know. Who knows what else is going on in the universe? But wherever it got created, it asks, the consciousness of you knows. See, here's the weird part. So I do this work called access consciousness. You've probably heard of it. You're in a class right now. And we have a definition for consciousness, which is where everything exists and nothing is judged. Did you hear that? Where everything exists and nothing is judged. So the being that you are actually functions from consciousness. And then you look at that and you go, well, why does my life look so messed up in this area and this area and this area? If you've ever noticed, it's only the areas in which you choose unconsciously or anti-consciously, going against the consciousness of you, that you create a difficulty. So we call access consciousness what we do, and it's a worldwide movement. We're in 176 countries at this point. And we call it what we do because when you access the consciousness that you are, your life starts to show up with ease and with a sense of joy and with a sense of possibilities. The greatest gift you can give yourself in the creation of your life is to choose to become as conscious and aware as you are. So what does this clearing statement do? The POC and the POD stand for going back to the point of creation and the point of destruction. And you're like, well, how does that work? Well, you are actually conscious as a being. Everything that's created the difficulties in your life has actually been an invention or buying somebody else's point of view that you have to be limited in a certain way. And you can actually undo that stuff. In fact, I found that you can undo almost everything that is limiting you. So, clearing statement again, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, which stands for going back to the point of creation or the point of destruction of wherever the initial point is of the limitation that you're trying to change. Right and wrong, good and bad, easy for me to say. Normally I say the whole thing. When I have to say it in pieces, it's like, I can do it, I promise I can do it. Okay, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9. Not all 9 stands for 9 layers of this thing. Now, I was part of finding these layers, if you will, and I don't even remember what they are, but it's based on this, okay? The idea is if we can get the biggest scoop possible of horse poop that we are scooping, then eventually we will find the pony underneath it called you in there somewhere. Oh, so this is a way of getting the biggest scoop of poop possible, okay? And we're de-shitifying your life. Yay! Everything that brought up, right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. That's actually how you use the clearing statement. anything that comes up, you can go right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Or you can just go pock and pot all that stuff. If you're anal retentive like I am and you want to make sure to get everything all the time because you might miss something and you don't want to miss something, which is kind of how I'm wired, I say the whole thing all the time usually. Sometimes I just go pock and pot all that. So you can have a weird energy come up. Like let's say, you know, you're doing great and then you get a text from somebody where you're like, you know what I mean? Where you contract into a tiny little ball of poo. That's why I said we're de-shitifying your life. Okay. All you got to do is go, okay, everything that is, and you don't even have to know what it is. Here's the beauty of it also. If you know what it is, it works great. If you don't know what it is, but you just ask for a particular energy that got brought up with something, it changes that. So you're having a good day, you get a text from somebody that you don't really like. Can we just say, we don't really like them? Okay, and we know who we don't like. Don't you know who you don't like? Okay, I think we all do, okay? You get a text from somebody you don't really like, and you're like, ah! And then what you wanna do is you just wanna go, everything that is, pock and pod. Pock and pod, pock and pod, pock and pod, pock and pod, pock and pod. It's a dynamic way of changing things. And so I'm starting with this because I'm going to be using it for the rest of our time together today. And I use it in every session I do. I use it with everything I'm trying to change in my own life. All of these tools that I'll be giving you are things that I use myself. All of these tools I'll be giving you are things that I've shared with hundreds of thousands of people. And they tell me over and over and over and over again that it works. Okay. Now, having said that, you're probably one of those people that's like me and like a lot of the people that do access that's like, I'm probably the only one it won't work for. And you're probably also one of those people that's like, I don't think I would want to be a part of any group that was dumb enough to have me. You know what I'm talking about? Believe me, I get it. You were in the right place because you don't got to join nothing, okay? There's no joining groups unless, I mean, there are all kinds of people with particular or similar targets that contribute to each other, but this is not one of those things, okay? This is, you get to be you and change the world. And to any degree that Access can contribute, we're here to contribute. That's our job. Okay. So one more time, right and wrong, good and bad. And Danielle said, the clearing statement is life-changing. It's incredibly powerful. True story. And it's funny because there are people that have used it who thought it was weird, like I did. When I heard it, I'm like, what are you saying? What is this gobbledygook? And the person that introduced me to it the first time, she's like, let's just try it a few times and see if anything feels different. And I went, oh, okay, I could do that. And so I did, and I started using it all the time. Because you know how it is when you find something that actually works? I mean, on any level, but especially this level of changing things in your life, it's one of those things where when something actually works, it's like, it's the greatest gift ever. It's like, Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, as I've said previously, okay? So it's this beautiful thing when something actually works. And so I just invite you to try it. You'll see how we use it as we go along. One other thing I need to let you know before I go back to explaining the clearing statement, and I'm dead serious about this, except not dead serious. I'm a lively, joyfully serious about this. I have ADD, ADHD, OCD, and autism all rolled into one, okay? I'm a highly, highly functioning autistic. And so I just want to let you know that because there are always at least 1,000 bright, shiny things in my head that want to be said all at the same time. And sometimes I'll be on this one and then this one seems brighter. So I go over there and sometimes I never make it back. Okay. If we're actually in a live class where you can raise your hand and go, excuse me, I wanted to hear, could you finish, please? I'm always happy to do that. Or I may bring myself back, but please know it's just how I'm wired. I used to judge it. I used to get judged for it. I used to think it was wrong. And when I started facilitating, I realized it gave me this gift in being able to see all kinds of things simultaneously, which is one of the capacities that an autistic person has and somebody with ADHD has, or ADD or ADHD. They actually have the ability to hold simultaneous realities in their awareness simultaneously. Oh, different realities in their awareness simultaneously. So one of the other things I want to say, and I will get back to the clearing statement, I promise, but I'm going to be quick about it, is that this is a great example, ADD, ADHD, for example. What if everything you thought was a wrongness of you? And what if everything you've been told is a wrongness of you is actually a strongness? I'm just going to let that sink in for a moment. Think of how many things you've been made wrong for. What if that was somewhere you were strong and nobody else could see it? Or even more intense is, what if it was a power that you had that somebody was intimidated by, so they tried to judge you out of it? And of course, because so many people are doing judgment on this planet right now, we sort of fell for it. See, everything you've done to give up the brilliance of you, everything you've done to give up the kindness of you, everything you've done to give up your generosity, to give up your joy, to give up your difference and your different beautiful way of looking at things. It is so bizarre, nobody else gets it. Will you right now destroy and uncreate all that, please, no matter where and when or how many times? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond.